A very good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? What an amazing room we have, filled with the brilliance of this city, filled with the energy of Los Angeles, filled with the potential of this nation and of this world. I'm certainly optimistic as I stand here before you today as leader of this amazing global city, that if it didn't exist, we would have to build the crossroads of Latin America, North America, and the Pacific Rim, a place where at least 37 countries can find their largest population outside their home country, a place that's face looks like the face of the world today and the face of this nation tomorrow, the home of the 2028 Olympics and Paralympic Games when they come back to Los Angeles, a place that is now the third largest economy in the world. You may scratch your head and say, well, how do you calculate that? You know, countries are kind of the accidents of history, from wars and settlements. States are arbitrary borders, but cities are organic entities that people come to. And by that measure, Tokyo is the largest economy, New York is second, and LA is nipping at New York's heels. We are the third largest economy now in the world, thanks to the work that you do to invest, to create jobs, to create opportunities, to change lives, to write history. And as we know, celebrating that there are World Trade Week events all throughout this country, this we believe is the biggest in the United States. Just look around and give yourselves a round of applause for making sure Los Angeles continues to push forward our connections with the world. Some of us were lucky enough to be born in Los Angeles. Some of you are smart enough to have moved to Los Angeles. Some of you won the lottery and are visiting Los Angeles, but we hope you will continue to visit and maybe even move here as well. But the work that we are doing to make sure that trade is at the center of our policy work here in Los Angeles has manifested itself over the last 4.5 years with incredible wins. We've invested in key industries, from one of our signature industries, Hollywood, to bring more filming back to California, but going on the road to make sure that global rules can help companies like Comcast and others in places like Mexico and Asia do the work that they need. We've looked at our great export of the aerospace industries and brought 4 counties together to act as a region instead of cut up polity in 88 cities and 5 counties, and won something that has attracted $1.3 billion to our aerospace industry to help retool our assembly lines and train our workforce. That collaboration that we have here is unlike anywhere in the world. We have the largest port in America, together with our twin sister port of Long Beach. 40+% of all the goods that come by sea into this nation come through here. And it's great to have the commissioner, head of CBP here. I don't know if is he in the room yet? Right here. Thank you, Commissioner McLennan, for your great work and your great leadership as well. He was from LA. He's going to be from LA again in the future, I think, but thank you for your great work. We love keeping that port going. Our airport is now the 4th busiest in the world. It is the 2nd busiest in this country, but for a mayor, it is the busiest by the most important metric, which is folks who begin and end their journeys there. It's now the busiest airport in the United States of America. That means people get off that plane, go into your town, invest, eat, stay in your city, and that means that our economy flourishes as well. We are looking now at global culture, which is thriving here. This is the center of arts, not just Hollywood and music, but now art in the world, with things like Pacific Standard Time in this past year, where we brought dozens of artistic institutions and galleries and community groups together to celebrate what we called LALA, Latino art and Latin American art, and saw from LACMA to the Getty, from here at the Museum of Contemporary Art to community galleries, some of the best art in the world, and brought visitors here. King Tut is on his last journey outside of Egypt. Maybe his mummy isn't here, but his stuff is here for the last time. And when Egypt looked at where that could go and could pick the first city in the world to go to, they came right here to the California Science Center. George Lucas and his wife, Melody Hobson, bringing the largest gift of any museum in American history, about $1.5 billion. We are competing with San Francisco, Chicago, picked LA. This is our moment. We are a place that I remember just taking China when there was 1 flight a week to China. I boarded the plane as a 12-year-old in 1983, when there was 1 flight a week. Now, Los Angeles to China has displaced New York to London as the most important transoceanic air corridor with the most passengers a year, and I don't think we're ever looking back. Our ties with Southeast Asia, with South Asia, with Korea, with Japan, with the Middle East and Gulf Arab countries that now have 4 daily flights worth about $1 billion to our economy a year. Our strong ties that continue here, where we claim to be maybe the northern capital of Latin America with our Latin American brothers and sisters, and of course Europe, which continues to invest here. Los Angeles is the best place to understand where trade is headed. And it's one of the reasons why we have doubled down on our commitment to you. And Los Angeles became the first city in America, we think, probably for sure the first big city in America, to open up a new position of Deputy Mayor for International Affairs. And we hired Ambassador Nina Hachigian, a LA native, our former ambassador to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, to fill that position. And we're so pleased that Nina is there overseeing our international trade, our Olympics, and our people-to-people ties. So give her a round of applause and welcome her to the administration. Nina, if you'll stand up so everybody can see you too. And we're going to continue going on the road. As you know, I've been to Mexico repeated times. We've been to Asia, to Germany, to New Zealand. We've been all around the world to bring the Olympics here. And that has resulted in jobs. It's resulted in partnerships. It's resulted in friendships for all of us here. And I know there's been a lot of speculation about my future. And so if I can just take a moment, because I heard the press isn't here, to make a big announcement. I want to let you know that it is true, and I am going to go to Asia this summer, in July. And we're very excited to be going back to Asia, to Japan, to Korea, to Hong Kong and Vietnam, to continue to open up those markets, to bring companies to invest here, and to strengthen the ties that we have between our nations. When we look at the great things that are happening here, anybody go to Los Angeles Football Club opening game in here? There's a fan right there. It was an amazing day. The most beautiful stadium I think I've ever seen, right there in Exposition Park, our new soccer club. It was a perfect Hollywood story. We built it in 20 months because LA is a place we can get things done. It was their first home game, scoreless for the 90 minutes of regulation and a couple extra minutes you get because of penalties and things. In the 92nd minute, we scored a goal and won. And if you looked at the investors in that club who have roots that stretch back to Asia and Latin America, African American and Anglo folks, it was a face of America. And the fans that were chanting had flags from around the world. The 3525, which is a section of over 3,500 fans, that literally said, we don't want seats. So they designed the stadium so that they could stand the entire time and bang drums and blow smoke into the air and all sorts of things. They had a reflection of this city's great diversity and our global ties. We know right here in this building, the tallest building west of the Mississippi, a place that we created 11,500 construction jobs and more than 1,700 good-paying jobs. And let me thank our servers and our hotel workers today who are a part of those 1,700 jobs for your service. That was the result of the investments from the chairman, Korean Air, of Korean money that came here. 3 projects that are funded by Chinese investors are rising up around here. In fact, 4 of the 5 largest projects downtown, almost all over $1 billion, come from that investment. The legacy companies that we honor here, those folks that continue to believe and to grow jobs in Los Angeles, we thank you. And when we think about the work that we're doing in the office, we've also doubled down in helping more LA businesses connect with international trade. In as global a city as LA is, what percentage do you think of companies actually trade globally? When we did the work, it was 1%, just 1% of the city. So we said we are literally going to double that in our time. And we've already helped thousands of companies through the Mayor's Office of Economic Development and now of International Affairs to connect with those opportunities, resources to help them enter overseas markets, take them on trade tours. Some of those companies are here today, like Micronova Manufacturing, which has expanded to more than 20 countries, and now a significant portion of the revenue comes from foreign markets. Or Luro Electronics, who went from selling products in 20 to 60 countries with some of the assistance we were able to help connect them to. This is another form of global engagement that makes us safer, that makes us stronger, and that helps us connect to the world. It makes our port complex, which had record-breaking 9.3 million TEUs, as the commissioner knows well, last year a new record for any North American port, and the jobs that come from that, while at the same time we clean up our ports and look at new technologies and help the folks that are around there as well. We know that we are exporting green jobs. When I was in China, our port, a company that helps clean up ports after spills that happen there, the day that we arrived in Shenzhen, got a contract in China to make sure that if they have any environmental problems, that an American company can come help them clean it up. In fact, the Port of LA is responsible for 1 out of every 51 jobs in America. That's a staggering statistic, and 1 out of 9 in this region. In the coming years, that port will see companies like SpaceX come to it. The big Falcon rocket, I sometimes mispronounce that, the BFN rocket is what they call it, but the big Falcon rocket, which might take human beings to Mars, will be manufactured right there and potentially also exported around the world. Boeing has its undersea exploration gear as part of our AltaSea project to bring the blue economy into what is already a raging green economy here as well. And let me close my remarks there, because isn't that what World Trade Week is really about? Celebrating who we are and what we dream of. At the end of our days on this earth, we are left with 2 things. Who did we know, and what did we do? I feel so blessed, and I hope you do too, to be in a room like this, to have known so many of you and to know you, because we could be living anywhere else, we could be anywhere else, but we are here right now with this extraordinary brilliance, the way that we lead with love in this city, a city where everyone belongs. But also what we are doing is changing the world. We tell their stories, we innovate the technologies, we are changing 3-dimensional space and virtual reality and everything in between. And I look forward to gathering each year as we strengthen our ties. There will be bumps along the road with international trade. There are certain things that make the headlines a lot more, like tariffs and making sure there's fair rules, but we will continue our steady work of expanding ties, expanding trade, expanding prosperity, and remembering that at the end of our days, we were here in Los Angeles, a city of angels. And now it is my pleasure to present this proclamation, which I think is coming up, this proclamation, to Otis Client, if you'd like to come back up. Otis, the president of the Pacific Harbor Line, who moves much of that freight that we talked about, and the chair of our World Trade Week. Otis, this is an acknowledgement of your incredible work and the incredible work of everybody in the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce and World Trade Week. Thank you for all you do. Let's keep trading. Thank you so much.